Hello, my friends, and thank you for joining me on the 17th Sunday dinner of the 52 Sunday Dinners Project. Holy moly, it seems kind of crazy to be at the 17th at this point, although I think once we get to the 29th or 30th, I really am not going to believe it. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. My name is Ashley. I'm a registered dietitian, and I love everything vintage and food. That led me to find this cookbook here. This is the 52 Sunday Dinners cookbook. It's from the Women's World magazine in 1924, which is not the same Women's World magazine that we read today. If you read it, I guess I can't say that I read it, but some people do. With this cookbook, they went through every week, and each Sunday they have a menu planned out, and it's supposed to keep economy and seasonality in mind. So we are doing the same thing. We're recreating this week by week to the best of our abilities. Sometimes it turns out really well. Sometimes it turns out really not at all. So if you'd like to join us, here's what we're going to be making today. Today we are starting out with an orange appetizer. Then for our main meal, we have a roast leg of lamb, and that's served this time with a mint sauce. On the side, we again have mashed potatoes served with that. We'll also have creamed peas with carrots. For our salad, it will be a cucumber onion salad. For dessert, we'll try our hand at custard rice pudding, and as with almost every other meal, there's always coffee. If any of that sounds appealing to you, we're actually going to start out by going and picking some of the mint for that mint sauce, and then we'll get into the kitchen and get started cooking all of this meal. I know in other videos I've talked about like the dandelions. We have dandelions, but they're not ready yet, and I don't know if we have rhubarb. I'm not good at growing things, but one thing that we have in abundance here is mint. It was here on the property when we got here, and it has spread like a weed, I guess, since then. So anytime anything needs mint, we always have tons of it. So I just have this little cup here, and I'm just going to fill this up at once. What does it say? 4 tablespoons, I think, worth of it. I don't know how much that is. I'm just gonna fill this thing up, which will be way more than we need, but we'll use it in teas and different things like that as well. So let's gather us up some mint. Currently, it's really tiny, but eventually it'll grow up and be relatively large, and it's always really nice when we don't mow the whole yard, but the parts that we do mow that have mint in them, oh, it smells so good when this is mowed here. So I have scissors, but actually I think I'm just gonna pluck it like this. But oh, if you could smell this right now, it's so refreshing smelling. So we should be able to fill this sucker up fairly quickly. And I'm gonna have to be a little careful because sometimes I get a little overzealous and I end up picking grass as well. We'll have to make sure there's nothing else in there but the mint, but I guess if a little grass gets in there, it's not gonna hurt anything. I thought I was gonna have to do this alone, but it appears I have some help. Some buddies have come to assist. I think they think I'm going to feed them. Hi, baby. Hi. Nope. They're very funny. They follow you around, and it's like they want your attention, but the minute that you go to get near them, hi, baby, they run away from you. Maybe they're like cats. I don't know. Anyhow, let's get back to picking. Are you guys gonna help me or not? You're just gonna be cute. You know who doesn't try to help? These guys. They're just rude. They just yell. Why are you yelling at me? The dandelions are starting to get a little, well, that one just came right out. They're starting to get a little bit bigger here. Hopefully, maybe next week's dinner, we'll be able to get them. Maybe a dandelion salad. We'll see. found another area where they're a little bit bigger and more abundant down there as well, which is better because, or good because, it's been a while and I only have this much filled, so I'm glad we found this over here. Let's get some of these picked. That should get it filled up a lot faster. Ooh, it smells good. I put the mint through a couple soakings and rinsed it. We got out as much, as I said that, I'm saying we got out as much of the grass as possible, and there's now grass on my fingers as I'm doing this, but now we've gotten out as much of the grass and straw as possible. I think the majority of the dirt is in there. I can guarantee there's probably several clovers in here and maybe some little grasses that are not mint, but that's okay. And it wants to have at least 4 tablespoons. And when it says at least, I think it would be okay to have a little bit more to get as much of that infused kind of mint flavor in there as possible. Oh, there's another little piece of grass. And since we know that some of this might be clover, and like this right here, this is not mint, this is clover, but it's in there, it's not gonna hurt anything. Since we know not all of it is mint, we're gonna have just maybe a couple, maybe it'll be a very tightly packed 4 tablespoons. So we have this 1/4 cup here, and we're gonna shove it down and pack it, and that's how much we're going to use. Okay, there we go. And we need 2 tablespoons of sugar to sit on top of it. Here's 1, 2. We have it nice and in there, and I have some water boiling. We'll get that on top. The water's ready, so let's make ourselves a little cup of tea and put our 2 tablespoons of boiling water over top of our mint. Now we'll let that sit for about 15 minutes and then we'll add our 4 tablespoons of vinegar. All right, so it's been about 15, maybe 20 minutes where these leaves have been steeping. I'm actually in the middle, you'll see here momentarily, I'm in the middle of doing the oranges. But we're gonna go ahead and put the apple cider vinegar in there, and then we will cover it up. And I'll go ahead and stick this in the fridge to steep overnight, and we'll have it ready to go with our lamb in the morning. So I think as I'm trying to scoop this out like I would a grapefruit, and I wish I had a grapefruit spoon. I swear I do somewhere. That's probably in there, but I have no idea where it's at. This is very juicy. All right, there we go. There's still a little bit in there. We'll get that middle piece out. Maybe I'll leave all of this orange inside though as kind of a nice juicy barrier. I just need to, ooh, that was juicy. Separate these pieces out. I feel like whatever is left over at the bottom of this bowl once we are finished would make a really nice cocktail. This monster of a strawberry. I don't, maybe we have done this before in other videos, I don't remember, but if not, I can't say that I've ever diced a banana before. Cut it in slices maybe, but never diced a banana. Feels weird. We had to switch up bowls because I was running out of space very quickly in that other white bowl there, so we have switched to this Delphite bowl. Matches my shirt. A little powdered sugar. I think that's plenty. Mix this up, and hopefully that will, all the lemon juice and some of the orange juice will prevent the bananas from browning before tomorrow, but they are ready to chill. We have our sugar, and I have gluten-free flour in here, and we have eggs that we are going to beat into here one at a time. One. First egg pretty much incorporated all of that, so the rest of the eggs should have no problem in there. I know mushrooms are gaining in popularity again. Did any of you have these bowls growing up, or your parents have these bowls growing up, or when you were married, did you use these bowls in your early married life? We have all this beaten up, and we have to add our sweet milk in. I don't know what sweet milk is. I think we've talked about this before. I just use whole milk because I assume that's what they would have been using. I know there's plenty of eggs in there, but with this amount of milk, I really just expect this to be liquid again and not to turn out to be like a baked custard, but we'll see. We'll see. It says 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just gonna add a whole tablespoon in there. I don't think it'll be that big of a difference, and we like ours with a little more vanilla. So I'll add just a little extra. And then I cook this rice up a little bit earlier. So here's the first cup. We're gonna make sure all the grains are separated. Feels like they're separating pretty well. Come on, rice, get out of there. Don't plop too hard. Okay. We have our second cup of rice. And swirling this around, it feels pretty separated. I pulled out one of my larger casserole dishes, but I thought it was going to be big enough that I wouldn't have to worry, but looking now, I am a little concerned that it is not going to be big enough. Now, this is a 3-quart, and I added 3 pints plus 2 cups, which is another pint, so that should be 2 quarts plus the eggs. I feel like this should be big enough, but I don't know that it is. We are going to put this dish on top of a baking sheet just in case it spills or goes over. So let's see. Oh yeah, that'll fit. I guess the narrowing of the bottom here was very deceiving. And I have my oven at 375, I believe. So we'll go ahead and put it in there, and hopefully we're gonna have a delicious pudding at the end. Or what is this called? Is this a pudding? Okay. There is a crust on top of this, but as you can see, it's still very liquid and wiggly. I don't know about this. I don't know if I should keep baking it a little bit longer just in case it'll solidify, or if it's pointless because it's never going to. I'll give it like 5 or 10 more minutes. I cooked our peas and carrots up yesterday, and I'm making the cream sauce now. I saved the water, or at least a half a cup of it, that it was cooked in. So we have that along with the milk. Now I am stirring in this butter, and I have a gluten-free flour that we're gonna mix in here to thicken everything up. It seems like it's thickening a good bit, so we'll add our sugar, our salt, and our pepper. Our parsley. This is probably a little more than what I called for, but that's all right. A little green never hurt anybody. All right, there we have it. So can I also say, before I start on these cucumbers, I know I just started on them, but I'm wearing another house dress today because Well, normally I love these things because they are really easy. You just throw them on and go. They're comfortable, they're nice and cool, you can layer them, and they look awesome. I mean, I think so. Look at all these little patterns here, these cute little buttons. However, not today, because I pulled this thing out of my drawer and I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear this house coat. It'll be perfect. It kind of matches my tablecloth today. And then it was so wrinkled. And normally I wouldn't care. I would just put it on. Except this time I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be on video. I should iron this. And I'm not very good at ironing because I never iron, but I ironed it. And it took me, I think, like a half an hour to get this thing all the way ironed because there's all these little nooks and crannies and it just wasn't turning out right. And you know, it's still wrinkled. I might as well not have bothered ironing it. But yeah, I guess the whole point was these are supposed to be effortless. You're supposed to just throw them on and go about your day, and that's why you wear them. Except there was a lot of effort that went into this silly house dress, house coat, whatever you call it. So I hope you appreciate this as much as I want you to. I really love cucumber and onion salads. I know when I used to eat them toward maybe in my teenage years, I had a boyfriend and I would go to his grandparents' house for dinner, and his cousin made this cucumber salad with a sour cream dressing, and it was delicious. I loved it so much. I feel like probably whatever she brought over, I probably ate half of it. I don't know. Maybe she ate the other half. I don't remember, but it was so good. And I wonder if this will be kind of similar with it's a cream dressing, a cream-based dressing, not a sour cream-based dressing, but maybe it's pretty similar to that. I'm not sure. I have my salted water there. I think I'm gonna make these not super thin, but not super thick. Maybe I'll do them about this wide. We'll get them in there, and then we'll get our onion in there. Normally, I don't know about you, but I use yellow onions or white onions for just about everything that I do. Probably because they're the cheapest ones when I go and pick them out. Sometimes I'll do a Vidalia, but I guess I haven't really gotten into the culinary differences in onions. I just know I love onions. So, but this time I did pick out a Spanish onion to go with this as it suggested. And we're gonna try not to cry. No guarantees. For the dressing for this cucumber salad, I just put the ingredients, the milk or the cream, I think it's heavy cream in there, the sugar and the vinegar in here and the ingredients that it called for, and I'm just gonna shake it up a little bit instead of beating it. I think it'll be just as effective, or at least I hope so. I don't think I'm gonna shake it so much that we're gonna make butter or something here, but I think it'll just be a little bit easier, and then it's right in its storage container as well. That looks pretty well incorporated. Okay, we have our bed of lettuce down here. How do you think we should arrange these? I'm kind of thinking maybe a few rings of onion down first, and then the cucumbers. Oh, well, there's another little onion. We'll save it. Maybe we'll garnish the top. Well, what do you think? That's okay. And we have our dressing here. It smells good. All right. I think this is going to be just fine. We have our leg of lamb here, and I was able to find this at Aldi, and it is boneless. So the leg of lamb, I assume theirs that they had a bone in it. Ours does not, but I have our flour here. Again, it's that gluten-free flour. I've added salt, pepper, and a few other like garlic, a little bit of parsley in here as well, because as we have discussed multiple times, the women would have been seasoning how they liked and how that they saw fit, and those were spices that they had readily available back in that time. I'm gonna rub this baby all over with this flour, and then I have my baking dish here. We'll get it put in that baking dish, and then we'll get it roasting. It does tell us that once it's hot enough or it has been cooked enough that the drippings, the fat is starting to drip, that we are to start adding in a little bit of hot water that's been slightly salted so that it can roast with the water, and we're to baste with the water and drippings throughout the roasting. I think this has been pretty thoroughly floured. We'll get it into our dish, wash my hands, and then we'll get it in the oven. Called for a moderate oven. We have ours set at 375. All right, now for my favorite part is the eating part. We've finished everything up and now it's time to try it all. We're starting this meal with our orange appetizer, and we've had fruit appetizers a few times throughout this whole project, not often. And I really seem to enjoy the days that we do. And I just find it so much different than what I'm used to eating now. For me, fruit is maybe something that comes at the end of a meal instead of at the beginning. So this is always a fun way for me to start it out. I also really love that we're serving it in the orange peel, using the orange as the actual cup. I think this is just a really cute way to go ahead and do that. And if I were a child, I think I would really just find a lot of whimsy and just a lot of positivity. This would be really fun for me to eat it this way, I think. And kids seem to do a lot better with fruits than vegetables, certainly. So I wonder if you served vegetables in a different way, maybe in a pepper or something. Would kids be more likely to eat them that way? Probably not, but you never know. It's worth a try. Let's go ahead and give it a bite here and see how it tastes with that sugar on top and mixed in. That is quite yummy. And I think I said yesterday as I was putting this fruit together, I was really hoping that the citric acid in the fruit juice and the lemon and the orange would prevent the bananas from browning, and it appears that it has. The bananas do not look like they have browned or gotten too slimy, or I was a little concerned about them maybe getting kind of gross in there overnight, and they seem to be doing pretty well. They taste great too. There's a little bit of sourness with that lemon juice on top of the banana. It's delicious. What a fun way to start a meal. My only criticism of that as an appetizer is when I start off with something sweet, my taste buds want to continue with something sweet. So I'm happy to try all this, but there's a part of me that wants to keep going with the fruit as well. I think to go from savory to sweet is a very easy transition for me, but to go from sweet to something else is not as easy of a transition. We have our lamb here, and I think it turned out very nicely. The flouring on the outside and on top of that kind of layer of fat, that fat cap on the outside of the leg, the flour on top of that made a nice crust. And I think that is going to add a good bit of something to this lamb. Now I'll show you, actually I'll have you come in. I'll give you a little close up on top of the mint sauce. It's much different than what I expected it to be. When I first heard mint sauce, I kind of associate it more with mint jelly. And this is really like just a straight liquid. It didn't thicken or anything, which how would it? Why would it have thickened? There was not that much sugar in it compared to the fluid amount in it, so it probably wouldn't thicken. But I think about mint jelly and there's that green food coloring in there, and here it's just almost like a tea. and with a little bit of, well, probably a lot of acidity in it. So that's going to be an interesting difference, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and give our lamb a try without the mint sauce first, and then we'll try it with the mint sauce. And I, of course, if you've seen this before, you know I am a middle piece kind of person. No matter what it is, if it's meat, if it's a baked good, or whatever it is, I like mine out of the middle. So I did go ahead and get a nice piece straight out of the middle for trying this. Yeah, this one is interesting. We've had lamb before, and it has that very distinct kind of barnyard smell, aroma to it. This, I smell it, but it smells more reminiscent of beef to me than that barnyardy kind of lamb, goat, you know, almost that wild smell to it. Let's give it a try. I have a piece of the crust on the outside. We'll see how that plays into this as well. You know, either I am, over the course of this, acquiring a taste for lamb, or this lamb is very, very mild. Because tasting it again, I could taste a hint of that kind of barnyard. I don't know how else to describe it. That flavor or aroma, it's there. It's kind of there on the back end. It's kind of whispering to me in the background. But to me, this tastes more like beef than anything else. And actually, the temperature at which we cooked it to, I think this is probably a medium well. And normally I like my things rare, but we're gonna cook it to how it asked us to. It's tender. It's not melting in your mouth or anything, but it's a lot more tender than I expected it to be, and the flavor is more mild. Now, I want to believe it's because I'm getting used to it and acquiring a taste, but I have a feeling maybe it's just the farming practices. Maybe the farming practices before were a lot more free range. The bloodlines were probably a lot different. They probably had that stronger flavor to it, and maybe we have kind of bred that out at this point. At least maybe, I got this from Aldi, so I'm not sure where it came from. I'm sure it said it on the package, and I should have checked. But I wonder if we have started to breed some of that strong flavor out, at least here in America, for our preferences, because this doesn't taste strong at all. But let's try it with the mint sauce. That's an interesting smell. The mint and the vinegar are really competing with each other here. I smell them both in equal amounts. I think and hope I'm really going to like this, because my favorite flavors, I think, are acidic and sweet, and this seems to be combining both of those. So, and I don't know if I'm just dipping this whole thing right in there. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, or if you're just supposed to put like a little bit on top, but we're going full in, right, dunking in the deep end there. Oh yeah, you smell that strong on here. Now that goes really well together. That sauce is just perfect for that. When I think of lamb, I do, as we mentioned before, I think of that mint jelly. It's kind of that automatic association, but this sauce is, oh, this is great. I feel, you know what I want to do now? I don't know how it would turn out. If any of you have tried it, now, Lottie, you've given me a lot of suggestions with lamb. We've talked about lamb quite a bit, and sheep and, different things. But has anybody ever marinated their lamb in a mint sauce like this and then roasted it after that? I feel like that would be divine. I think there's something to add to the list of projects after this is over with. I think we should marinate lamb in a mint sauce and then roast it. Oh yeah, let's do that. Our side dishes are pretty similar to things we've had in the past. However, I think there's a slight variation this time. And I'm pointing at you with my fork. Probably pretty rude. Mashed potatoes, okay, regular, whatever. But our peas and carrots that have been creamed. We've talked about the cream sauce, and I have said before, I wish they would just let it be. Like, just let the vegetable be the vegetable. And several of you pointed out, well, the rest of the week, the vegetables would have been just the vegetables. What we're doing is the special meal each week. Out of the 7 days, this is one meal that's supposed to be elevated and fancier and better. So that's probably why this cream sauce is on all of our vegetables, because we're making it special. But the variation this time, correct me if I'm wrong, but did we ever add sugar to our cream sauces before? And maybe I'm forgetting and I'm thinking about something else we added sugar to, but I swear we put sugar and parsley in our cream sauce this time. And I don't remember doing that in any of our other creamed vegetables before. Unless maybe we were supposed to and I just forgot to do it, or we have and I'm forgetting about it. But I am interested to see how different, or if we notice a difference at all. Doesn't smell different. It smells just like carrots and a little bit of peas, but mostly carrots. Yeah, you know, I think it tastes a little sweeter without a comparison right now directly, and only going off of my very terrible memory. I think that I want to say that this does taste a little bit sweeter. And, you know, we have the carrots in there, which are a sweeter vegetable, and our peas are a little starchier of a vegetable. So it's probably going to be more sweet anyway than an asparagus or a green bean or a string bean, whichever one they're calling it at the time. But yeah, I do think that this is just a little bit sweeter. And now for our salad course. And we showed you this earlier. We have our cucumber onion salad. I am looking forward to this and seeing how this compares to the salad that I remember from before that it reminded me of. I like the colors. It's nice and green. It's very kind of springy and refreshing looking. It would be fun to have something maybe yellow on the plate if there were maybe a yellow pepper or something, just to spring it up with the colors a little bit more might be fun. This smells really good. It smells like it's going to be refreshing. I can smell the sharpness of the onion and the vinegar in that dressing. You can smell the cucumber in there. And when I smell cucumber, I think of cucumber water or cucumber melon water, and just a very nice, refreshing sensation. So the smell is very nice. This is a nice springtime salad, I think, but also this would be great in the middle of July or August when you are really hot, you come inside and you need something that's just kind of, you know, you want it to cool you down and hydrate you a little bit, but you're still kind of hungry, but you're too hungry or you're too hot to really eat. So you have maybe some cold fruit, maybe a piece of watermelon or something, or cucumbers. This cucumber and onion salad would be perfect for that. But also it's great, nice and springy, and it kind of makes me feel like I'd be looking forward to that hotter weather a lot more. I'd be seeing some lights at the end of the tunnel here with the poor weather and the rain with this salad. Here is our custard rice pudding. It is a little firmer today than it was yesterday after sitting and chilling for a while, but it's still pretty, well, maybe it'll be okay. We're about to find out. I'll let you guys see the scooping process. We'll go ahead and do a corner here. Of course, you have to have a little bit of the skin. Oh, that is a lot. Let's calm down there. Okay, this is much better than I expected it to be. When we pulled this out of the oven last night or yesterday, before we put it in the refrigerator to chill, I really thought we were going to be drinking this through a straw. But you know what? It's It's not too bad. Now let's see how it tastes. That's one of the more important parts. Okay, so you got a nice look at it. Smells good. I think I smelled the vanilla probably, but it mostly smells pretty neutral. No, I smell the egg. I smell a little vanilla. It smells like sweet eggs. Let's try it out. Oh, that's good. That's very good. My hopes for this when I saw the recipe were high. I was excited. Then when I saw how it looked in the oven, my hopes and dreams were crumbled and crushed to the floor, and I thought it was going to be awful. Now, it's just a roller coaster. Now that I have seen it and tasted and smelled it, this is wonderful. And it was really easy too. I mean, there were a couple extra steps. You have to make the rice ahead of time and take care of all of that. But putting it together, really, it was kind of just a snap. It was easy. And it's really delicious. It's really good cold. I wonder if you warmed this up too, if it would be kind of nice, comforting, if you sprinkled some cinnamon over top of it, if this would be a really kind of tasty, warming, I guess just a warm dessert as well. But yeah, overall, the texture of this is really nice. If you don't like the tapioca rice pudding kind of texture, then no, you won't enjoy the texture of this. But if you like that kind of thing, if you're a person who enjoys bubble tea, boba, those sorts of things, I think you're really going to like this. Overall, I thought this meal was pretty fantastic, if you couldn't tell. I think everything went really well together and everything turned out really well as well. Sometimes we've had meals where maybe some things went well together, but other things didn't, and some things were phenomenal, but some things were kind of a miss. I'd say with this meal, in my opinion, everything seemed to be a hit and exceed my expectations, and it also meshed really well together. I would give this one probably an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10 based on that. Nutrition-wise also, starting off a meal with fresh fruit, we're getting plenty of those micronutrients. There's a lot of vitamin C, and we aren't degrading any of those vitamins because we're not cooking it out of there. So what a fabulous way to start a meal. For our main meal, we have a really great source of protein and fat, and then also some vegetables to go along with that. We have the peas and carrots, so 2 different types of vegetables. The potatoes are a nice simple starch for your body to use as quick energy if they needed to do some things afterward, if they were going to go for a nice walk after their meal, which it's still pretty beautiful out right now. And well, I guess I shouldn't say beautiful. It's overcast, but there is still daylight out there. So I think that's what I'm going to do after I finish up filming this. And those mashed potatoes will come in handy for that. I love our salads in these menus because we go from this soft cooked meal in the main meal pretty typically. So we have some of those vegetables, they've been cooked, but now with our salad, typically you have your crunchier, fresher version of those vegetables. So we have a ton of different veggies in this meal. Not a ton of micronutrients in our dessert. There's a little bit of protein in those eggs. We have a lot of carbs and, a little bit of fat in there. It's, again, I guess we're gonna call it fuel for my walk, and a little bit of soul food as well. Maybe a little less for your body, a little more for your soul. How's that? The cost of this menu is pretty similar to some that we've had recently. Our main meal, or our main course, I guess, our protein was a little over $25. But everything else wasn't too expensive. Of course, if you have been shopping for fruit recently, you know that prices are up a little bit. And back then, I imagine in, what is this, the first one in May maybe? This might be the last one in April, the first one in May. I'm sure in their day, fruit wasn't cheap either. To get bananas and strawberries and oranges around this time of the year, I don't know what that would have cost them. Now, we had an advantage in that Our mint was completely free. All it took, it cost us labor, that's it. Everything total, I'm calculating for 6 people to be around maybe $40 to $50, depending on what was on sale and what wasn't at the time. If you liked what you saw today, I would really appreciate if you like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss another dinner. And also, if you know of somebody that you think might enjoy the nostalgia, remembering some of these meals, or learning a little bit more, feel free to share it with them. We would love to expand the community and the conversation. And join us next week and see how our attempt at caramel nut pudding turns out. See you then.